Okay, so now we're going to be on lesson 11, puzzle 7. This app has users add their grades and then calculate an average. Read and run the code to understand how it works. Add code to the program to calculate the average of grades when the user clicks the button. So what we're working on is working on this. Test your program a few times and make sure it works. So basically, after I ran it the first time, and if you really need an example, you can always use this. See, if you just put in this input, you should come out with something that looks like that. So when I ran it the first time, I picked some numbers that I knew I can calculate in my head, such as 25, 30, 30, and then 35. Because if you do that, you know the average is 30 because there's no one in the middle. But when I hit calculate average, nothing happens. And when I went back and to look at the code, I saw that it says, well, right here is where you're going to have to add the code. So let's go ahead and get started. There is a few things you got to think about. Um, a couple of things we got to think about is how do we get the average? Well, we know that we take the number or the sum of something and then we divide by um, the number of items we have. So we do know that we have to create a for loop at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and put a for loop. I'm going to put it right here. And I'm probably going to leave these things the same. Now, there is something that's going to change because we don't know how many things we're putting in. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that and drag it out completely, see if it'll go. Now, sorry, I had to stop for a second. I do know that I have to create a variable because I don't see one. I'm going to create another variable to kind of catch the sum of these grades. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a var and I'm going to put the words, sorry, I put it in the wrong place. Basically, the var actually goes outside the loop because it has to be initialized before we start. So I'm going to go ahead and put the word sum. And of course, I'm just going to set it to 0 just to start off. I don't know if that's really the right thing to do, but actually, I guess it is because you're going to be inputting the, uh, the numbers in here. So I need to create. I need to find a way to, just like with the other lists, we're pulling in a list. So what created a list? Well, right here it says var grades list. So we know as we input stuff here, this thing is being updated. It's being appended right here. So what we need is I need to make sure this grade list is the one we use for our length. So I'm going to go ahead and go to list length. Well, first of all, remember we're missing we're missing comparison part. That's the part in the math function that tells us how far the counter is going to go or when to stop the for loop. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. And I know that we're going to name it I because we already have an I. But now I have to kind of make that list thing that we're talking about. So I'm going to go back to variables. I'm going to grab the length and I'm going to put it right here. And of course, I got to name it the correct thing because what happens is it's actually the grade list is what I'm working with. So I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to click list and change it to grade list. So, oops. Always be careful. That's why I always copy and paste stuff, but sometimes even copying and pasting can mess stuff up. So, Control V. There you go, grade list. Okay, there we go. So, somehow we have to find a way to continue to calculate until it's time to actually find the average. So, just thinking about the average, I'm gonna have to find an average and I'm gonna have to output it right here. So that's already two things I got to worry about. Um, One of the things that I don't know either is how am I going to divide outside of here? So once the loop is going, I have to find an average, and yeah, I could use the grade list length. I could, but that's not really a good idea. What I need to do is probably just create another counter, is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and grab another var and put it right there, and just give it a simple name counter. I mean, it's really that simple. Counter, and of course, since it's not hasn't started, I would probably just initialize it at 0. And then last but not least, we're gonna have to find something called an average. So I'm gonna go ahead and create another variable named average. Now, of course, you got the triangles that are showing up because we're not using anything yet. But once we start using stuff, the computer will be like, "Oh, okay, I know what he's doing. He's trying to, you know." Now, here comes the other part. At some point, we're gonna have to find an average. So we know that an average is going to be calculated. Well, we have average already initialized right here. Sorry, I'm holding onto the block, but I don't want to let it go. I'm going to put that outside the loop, and I'm going to call it average because that's the number we're going to print out as the average. Oh gosh, sorry, my computer's moving super slow. Control C, Control V, average. Now that average is going to come from a couple of things. We're going to have to find the sum divided by a number. That's how you find the average of pretty much everything, and that's just common sense. Okay, so it didn't take. So let me find where is it? Oh yeah, right there it is. So average is, well, we need sum. We're going to be calculating sum inside that loop. This is where we're going to be doing the sum. I'm just kind of doing stuff ahead of time, I guess. But you get sum, and this is going to be our counter. I know they have a counter here for the loop, but we need a counter to kind of keep count of how many items we're actually working with. So so now we have that set up, and of course we know too that at some point we're gonna have to print something out. So I'm kind of doing a couple things right now. I'm kind of setting up for the next piece, which we know that we're gonna have to set text. And how do I know that? Well, right here at the very bottom, um, oh no, I'm sorry, no, at the very bottom. But we have to put the text out there into this little box right here. Now the problem is what's the ID? Well, if you reset it and you look right here, it says average grade, so average something. So if I click right here, average grade button or average grade label. Well, I mean it's not a button, so common sense says okay, it's a label. Let's put that there. And then the last thing we need to do is find out. Hold on, sorry. We need to find out what we're going to actually put there. But this is where we have to put words, and I can put, I guess we could just print it out. I mean, it does say you're great, but the problem is that when um, we update the screen, we want to make sure. Let me put average for right now, and then just because that's what we're working with is average. I don't know if it's going to really hurt it or not, but I'm going to go ahead and just type in average. So the computer knows that we're working. It has a variable called average, so we're good. So the last piece is now we got to work with this inside of this loop. So we have everything set up. The only thing is we know we need a counter because this is what we set this var up for. So I'm gonna do. Huh, Well, I don't know if you can use this. I can't remember, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here. It's just, oh my goodness, this is the reason why I don't like to mess with block coding. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Hold on, sorry. Um, I don't see the I don't see it anywhere, but well, let me see. Let me see if I can trick the computer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab this block and I'm gonna drop it outside. Well, see, it's trying to find a place to go. That's the problem. It wants to go somewhere, and it won't go right where it's supposed to go. So worst comes to worst, sometimes we just gotta go back to show text, and I'm gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna go like that, and right here I'm gonna put in counter, and we know that counter plus plus is a way of creating a counter, and then we go back to show blocks. I'm not sure where the block was, but I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Now, of course, that's going to create this thing right here. You can grab it and throw it away. It's not going to hurt it. There it is. See, it's funny. This is the reason why I always tell you guys, make sure in programmers, y'all can make it work, not keep doing the same crazy stuff over and again. Now, that'll keep track of how many times something's going through. We got to create something for the sum. So that one in itself is pretty simple. We created a variable called sum, and it's already initialized. So all I got to do is come in here and put this here. And I know this seems a little complicated, but really this is what you guys do anyways. That's what we're doing here. We're taking a number and then we're adding it to a number. So if we're adding something, I'm going to grab a piece right here and put it right there. And I'm going to type in the word sum because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to adding two things together. Now here comes the hard part. The hard part is that what are we going to put right here? Well, normally we would put um, basically the idea is every time we enter something here, something's going to show up here. But where's that coming from? That's the big question. Well, if you notice up here when we were creating the list, it would always append a grade list. So we're getting data from grade list. So every time it's going through, we're getting something from grade list. And so I'm going to control copy and I'm control V. That's not exactly the only thing, too. The other thing is we're going through an index. So let me see, is there one with an index? And I think one of my students yesterday, she pointed it out. So let me erase this. Sorry, my computer's moving super slow right now. We're almost done with this. Hopefully, it helps you guys out. So basically, we have a list that we're pulling from. So I grabbed this variable block, and the index is I, because remember the computer's generating its thing, and we're doing grade list. So there's what the code looks now. Now, for some reason, this thing has a missing semicolon. Oh, the reason why that's doing that is because when I was typing it in, I forgot to put a semicolon. And now if I do that and I go back to show block, let's see if it'll work. Let me just double check it because for some reason it's telling me I'm missing a semicolon and I have it right there. Well, let me go ahead and run it, see if it'll work. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and go to show blocks. Let me reset it. Show blocks. It's going to have that yellow, and I'm not going to worry about it. Remember, it's only the red that it won't run on. So let's go ahead and input the, the thing that it got. So it's 20, add. Oh, man, that really did mess something up. Hold on. Let me look at it real quick. So I plus plus, let's see, sum equals sum plus. grade list index. Now it's got now the counter. Oh, you know what? There it is. Counter. Yeah, it's kind of hard to call up something if you're calling it the wrong name. Some of you guys have experienced that with me in class. You know that I'll call you by the wrong name and you're looking at me like Mr. Winslow. That's not my name. So we're gonna go ahead and run it again, and I'm gonna see maybe it's still got that caution, but let me see if it'll work now. I did at least find that one piece, and it's still not working. Why is it not working? It says is missing, has not been declared count. But we're not using counter anymore. See, count has been declared right there. Let me go ahead and copy and paste it. Maybe I made a mistake when I was typing it out or something. No, it disappeared. See, let's go ahead and reset it running. And this is the thing about coding that's really sometimes you just gotta keep messing with it till it works. So I got a 20. Now that's weird. It was working before, now it doesn't want to work. Okay, so let me pause this thing for a second. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Okay, so after looking at the code, I'm not really 100% sure what happened. The only thing is I can think of is right here. There's something when I put this piece in here because when I punch run and I put numbers in there like say 25 and I add, they should pop up here. Somehow my code is interfering. Let me take this out for a second. I can redo that one pretty easy. Let's see. If I reset it and run it, this will tell me if I'm doing something really with it's mostly with the display. Okay, so it's something with the display. So the computer's coming in here. And new grades inputs that creates a list. Well, it couldn't be that simple, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. I'm going to grab a set text. Set text. And we said it was average grade level. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put some stuff in there. Maybe it'll fix it. I'm going to go ahead and put this block in here because I'm going to give it something to actually work with. Sorry, my computer's just acting crazy right now, too. Look at that. I've never seen that happen before. It must be Friday. And whenever something like that happens, just hit the refresh button up here at the top and it should shake it loose. Sometimes reloading a website will, and hopefully you didn't lose what you're working on. That's another thing because it'll reset everything that you're working on. Well, as far as at that very moment, it processes what it's supposed to do. Okay, so let's see where we were. Okay, so it's still there. Um, Now we know we're trying to print out an average, so that's something we can type in right here, average. Then we have to put some kind of string. Let me go ahead and put your average grade is semicolon space. Remember, whatever you print there is going to come out. Oh, so at least we know how many red triangles. Now let's try it. I don't know if it's going to make any difference or not, but I haven't been coding for a ton of years, but I do know that one little thing can throw everything off. There you go. Weirdest thing. All I do is add a statement to generate this piece on the screen. 35, 25, and I'll take 25. Last but not least, 40. Punch it. Now I got the exact same numbers. Of course, I'm going to hit calculate. Your average Gardy is 30. So since I spelled grade, I'm going to go back and change that real quick. And that should be it. That's the way it works. Just to test it, make sure this thing is working. Well, it should, but let me go ahead and do 1, 0, 2, and your average should be 1. Average is 1. There it is. That's it.